Hello, everybody. Merry Christmas and prosperous New Year to everyone. Thank you all for your support throughout the year, and we pray that God will continue to bless us in all our endeavors in this coming year 2024. So today we have a quick program, and it's going to be very interesting. I know that everybody is relaxing right now, enjoying the Christmas flair. So, we're here to discuss about the ancient kingdom of Onosha-Olona. So, I have with me all the way from the United States the crown prince of Onosha-Olona, Prince Ephraim Odiakosa Damboke. So, we are here to discuss the reconstruction of the ancient palace of Ugbe, the urbanity of Onosha-Olona. So, hello, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. So I know that you went to Nigeria recently because of this project to reconstruct the ancient palace of Ugbe, the urbanity of Onosha-Olona. So, the British, during the British invasion of Onosha-Olona, the ancient palace was destroyed by the British armies. So tell us your plan to reconstruct this ancient palace of Ugbe. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you again. As I always like to do, I like to give honor to those that honor is due. All glory to God for the opportunity to be here today. All honor to our ancestors and much respect to our royal head, Manoba Nedo, His Royal Majesty, Oba Iwaredi II, Oba Atoka, Sir.
It's
Yeah, the reconstruction of Ugbe, which we are embarking on now, is an essential project in the sense that the goal is to revive the ancient kingdom that seemed to have been forgotten. Uh, for two reasons. One, because the ancient palace needs to be reconstructed, and secondly, because it is my father's last request for me before he joined the ancestors. During my last conversation with him on New Year's Day 2021, it's one of the things we discussed. And he asked me that it is time for us to reconstruct the ancient palace. It is natural. And so I consider it that this is a worldwide project for two reasons, like I mentioned. One is to revive the ancient kingdom, the ancient palace, and bring to life where the palace of the Obanisi or Obanisika Uba is the Obanicholana was before. How and when was this palace built, and how did it start, and to whom was it built? Becomes the question. As we narrated in the course of our previous episodes, which we are yet to complete, we'll continue from there when we have time for it. After our people settled in our current location, back in the late 1400s AD, the warriors settled down there and made there their new home, and as well a strategic point to ward off further activities of the uprising and revolt that was caused by Chim and his people. So, from that late 1400 AD till Oba Esige became the new Oba in Benin, our people lived there. There are people from Benin settled there, the warriors specifically. Then in 1505, Oba Esige made Prince Urubwa the Enoki of the new settlement called Onicha-Olona. From that time, the settlement was more or less a dukedom of its own, that was ruled and controlled by Prince Urubwa. Until Oba Esige passed, after the passing of Oba Esige, as you may recall, that Urubwa, being a Catholic priest, intended to continue as a priest rather than ascend the throne. Okay? And following that, there was a situation in Benin because of his decision. He came back to Onicha-Olona to consult with his younger brother. Okay? And from that, after their discussion, we advised him and encouraged him to go back and ascend the throne. So he went back and ascended the throne in 1547 AD. And when he did that, he made Ugbe the new Enoki of the Onicha-Olona. 3 years after, he decided, Oba Urubwa decided to map out the entire area where they fought the war, which extends from where we are now, including the areas like the current day Onicha, Ndokwa, Ika, and Oshimiri. So this area where they did fight the war, Oba Urubwa mapped it out and made it a new kingdom of Israel outside of Benin, and installed Ugbe, his younger brother, as the new king over the new kingdom that they named in the Benin language the Onicha. So when this happened, the reason, according to our history, is because considering that if Oba Urubwa had abdicated the throne, it would have been Ugbe that would have succeeded their father. So in a way to acknowledge and appreciate his younger brother for the advice and encouragement to go back and ascend the throne, Oba Urubwa mapped out this area and made his brother Oba. In a way, to distinguish between the two Obas now, the new designation, Oba Nedo and Oba Nisika, came into play. So Oba Nedo was used to describe and recognize Oba Urubwa in Benin, while Oba Nisika was used to recognize Ugbe in Onicha. Now, after installing Ugbe in 1550, the ancient palace that was there, which was used by Prince Urubwa before he became the Oba, was now transformed to a new kind of use. Remember, this ancient palace was built in 1505, used by Oba Urubwa, when he was still Prince Urubwa. After Ugbe became the Oba in 1550, that palace was now built as the palace of the new Oba and was commissioned by Oba Urubwa from his brother. So in essence, that ancient palace was commissioned by Urubwa, who made his younger brother the new Oba named or designated as Obanisika or Obanisi for short. So fast forward, life went on, and his descendants ruled the entire kingdom of Ikomioto kingdom. So the Ugbe and his descendants ruled in Ikomioto kingdom from that very time until 1800 when the British came. So, as early as 1870, the British have already made their advances into our area, coming from the east and also from the riverine areas. Our Oba then, whose name was Oba Opoko, did not want the British to stay. So he had already, as early as 1870 AD, he has already wanted them off, and they did not like it. He had already gone into their black book. While they make all their advancements, sending some of our people to help negotiate, lobby the king, Ogo did not want to yield to their lobby and their interest or whatever. It turns out that one of the chiefs in Onicha-Olona was an employee to the British Royal Migrant Company. This very man was equally a chief with the title of the Okwalagwa. So, in order to get to Oba Opoko to agree to the terms of the British, they had to walk through Chief Osapofuli, who was the Okwalagwa of Asate. They came a number of times, as the history has it. Oba Opoko maintained his ground until 1883, when they came again. He gave them audience. They spoke. It turns out to be the same old topic. Then he got up angrily from his throne and made a pronouncement. Translate it to English. I have said repeatedly that the white man has no place in the kingdom that I rule over. He was not interested in slave trade. He was not interested in selling any food. He was not interested in selling any palm oil or rubber or anything. He said no, he doesn't want to do any business with them. Okay. With that now, the British realized that this man is not going to budge. Then they prepared for war. And news got to Oba Opoko. Oba Opoko sent a circular to all the towns and villages in the present day Anioma, which was the then which was under the then Ikomioto kingdom that was also along the line transmitted to the Onosha kingdom. So all the towns and villages in Anioma, the present day Anioma, not the secular, all the able-bodied men were prepared for war, and they went out to fight against the British. So that stand, that position, and declaration of the Oba Opoko led to the Ekumeku War.
Oh.
That Ekumeku War is that is taken from the statement of the Oba Opoko, Ekumeku, Nandioche went on by the Nanimachi.
What does that mean?
Okay. So, like I translated before, Ekumeku means I have said repeatedly.
Okay, yeah.
Okay? So with the pronunciation, the war started, and they fought this war for 31 good years, from 1883 to 1914. So why is this palace that needs to be reconstructed so important?
So do you mean during the war they destroyed the palace?
Yes. Yes. So why the palace is important is because it was in this palace that the decision that ignited that war was made. And that decision was that declaration that Obo Oko made, insisting that he has already said repeatedly that the white man has no place in his kingdom. So that resolution was what infuriated the British, knowing that this man is not going to budge, that this king is not going to budge. The war started. So now you can see that without alone, the British went after our people, and then eventually, in the heat of the war, they shelled down the palace, destroyed it, looted it, took many artifacts from it, and then smelled it down.
So do you mean for that 31 years, the fight was between the British and the people of Onosha-Olona? I mean the people
Yes,
in the region.
Yes, yes, it was between the people in the ancient Onicha kingdom, also a Onicha kingdom, okay, which is now called Anioma. Okay? One thing, when you ask people about Anioma, people will always say Anioma is an ancient and industrious nation. But nobody dares to tell you what was the name of that ancient and industrious nation before it took up the name Anioma. Okay? That ancient Ikomiota kingdom was later balkanized by the British after the war and split into 4 local government areas. Okay? From that 4 local government area that was created, in 1951, one of our noble statesmen, Chief Dennis Osadebe of Asaba, and his team were able to try to reunite the people of that ancient kingdom because we are a people of common values and culture. Okay? Now to achieve that, we went series of selection of names in order to come up with a new name because the British would not want them to constitute that very union with the ancient name of the kingdom that they have already defeated and balkanized. So in the end, Chief Dennis Osadebe and his team came up with selecting the 4th initial of each of the new local government that we have formed. A for Onicha, N for Ndokwa, I for Ika, and O for Oshime. And then added MA to make it meaningful to get Anioma. Okay, so now, this old palace, that was the palace of Oban Isika, who was the king of the ancient Ikomiota, that our people now call Anioma, which they often refer to as the ancient industrial nation. The seat of the king that was involved is this palace that we want to review.
So why about the palace, the existing palace? The existing palace. So if you have to build, reconstruct the destroyed palace, what about the existing one? So are you going to neglect that one, or tell us what is your plan?
Every structure that is in place will still be in use.
Mm.
Every structure that is in place at the moment will still be in use. However, this palace is to be reviewed, like I said, because of its value and significance to our people.
Yeah.
It's going to serve as a monument and as a palace. Okay? Why? Because this is the palace that was commissioned by Oba Urugwa. It's the palace of the first king that ruled over the area.
Okay. Yeah.
Because of the fact that it holds the history concerning the decision that led to a Ugbe war. Okay? This Ugbe war is the strongest and most vigorous resistance that the British ever saw in Africa on record. So you see that this palace is not only valuable to Onicha-Olona people, it is valuable to Anyoma people, it is valuable to Delta State, it is valuable to Edo people, it is valuable to Nigeria and Africa as a whole, because this is the palace where the decision that led to the 31-year resistance against the British was made. If we don't reconstruct this palace, the history will be lost.
So what happened to the king that was in the throne during this Ekumeku war?
Thank you. So with that war started, as you know, what happened in Benin as well happened in Onicha-Olona. But unlike capturing and sending Obaronwa to Calabar, Obo was very elusive. As you can understand our people and their mystical powers, right? They could not get hold of him to imprison him or send him to anywhere.
It disappeared. It disappeared.
Yeah.
Turned to a bed or something.
It kept disappearing.
That's what the British said about the Oba of Benin, that nobody ever thought that the Oba can be even apprehended, that he would just turn to a bed and fly, just fly away.
So that was the case. Oba could not be captured.
So he disappeared before he died from natural cause, right?
He kept disappearing until they now used a close one of the chiefs who was very close to him was used to poison him, and he was poisoned to death.
Huh? Really?
Yep. That was how they killed him. He died in 1397.
So after that, they didn't reconstruct that ancient palace. So they instead established a new palace, right? That is what happened.
Yeah. So that's a good question, because even after that, since 1900 till now, there has not really been a legitimate king ruling Angola. Okay. Yeah. So after he died in 1897, 1900 AD, the British installed the man who was responsible for the betrayal.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay. Obo refused to sign a treaty. This very chief and some of his cohorts from the neighborhood, from the neighboring communities signed a treaty in 1896. That treaty, Obo refused to sign it.
Yeah, it was the treaty period in West Africa
Yeah.
when the Europeans brought treaties to African nobles to secure
Yeah.
trade agreements between the nobles and the Europeans. I know some kings
Yeah.
were very smart and they rejected the treaty, and even the treaty even led to the dethronement of many African kings at that time, because
Yes.
after they
Yes.
signed the
Correct.
treaty, the conflicts that accumulated due to the treaty later led to the dethronement of some powerful African kings. I did a full documentary based on this history. I did an extensive research on some powerful African kings that were dethroned because of the introduction of treaties to these
Yep.
nobles at that time in the 18th
Yep.
century.
Yep.
In the 19th century, I mean, during the late 19th century,
Yep.
yeah, after the
Yeah. So
abolishment
the
of slave
treaty.
trade.
So the treaty signing started in late 1800. For
Mm,
instance,
mm,
this very treaty that betrayed our Oba, the Oba Boko, was signed in 1896. Okay, and with that now,
mm, mm.
the British now making moves to remove Oba Boko and put someone in charge, since Oba Boko did not want to use them.
Mm,
Okay,
mm.
so so eventually they kept trying after signing the treaty. They kept trying to capture him, they could not capture him. It was in 1897 that they eventually had their way by poisoning him to death, since they could not capture him.
Yeah, you know that at that time it was common that the British would brainwash some of the members of the kingdom to betray the king. So the same thing
Yeah.
happened in many of these territories in Africa at that time, that they used material wealth to
Material wealth and promise to elevate them and give them positions and put them
exactly.
ahead. That is exactly what happened.
Uh-huh. So the same thing happened even in Benin and many other territories in Africa at that time. Could you believe that the British used African black people to fight wars in Africa? So majority of the troops that fought the British and Benin War were black people that were recruited from other regions in Africa. Black people.
Yes.
When you look at it, the British were minority in Africa at that time, but they were powerful in the sense that they were recruiting the same African people to fight and conquer the continent. They used African people to conquer Africa.
Yes, that's exactly what they are. That's always what happens. They always look for people they can easily buy over and use them against their fellow citizens. Okay. I think it's not. I don't think it's peculiar with the British. All superpower of old, ancient civilizations they always do that. You won't be surprised that if God make Nigeria the superpower story of the world, you won't be surprised they are going to do the same thing for the rest of the world. So it's a tactic that all superpower try to use. You look for people, some loose ends in the midst of people, you use them and turn them against their own people. That is how you penetrate.
The British would have not been able to conquer territories in Africa. Even the Europeans in general would have not succeeded in conquering many territories in Africa without the support of Africans themselves. That they brainwash them, give them material wealth, and use them to fight wars in Africa and conquer territories. We are complaining today that they came to colonize us. Who are the people that were used to conquer African territories? The same African people.
I always tell people, each time this conversation comes out, I always tell people, before you point an accusing finger on the white man, remember that 3 fingers are pointing at you. And one is bearing witness before God and man that you are equally guilty. Okay? It's just like, think of it, somebody going to Walmart to buy something, right? If the items in the Walmart were not placed there by the Walmart owners and shoppers or whatever that is managing it, will you find those items to buy in the Walmart?
No.
So before we start blaming Europeans, we need to ask ourselves question: what did we do against our own people? That does not exonerate the Europeans or the white people for whatever they did. Okay? But we also have to look inside ourselves to find out that we also played a role in it.
If we have
like I just mentioned now. Yeah, like I just mentioned now, without a chief who was close to the king being used against the king by giving him position and promises and whatever they gave to him as gifts that motivated him to go and poison his own king, would the white man have succeeded? A man that has made attempts many times to capture, they could not capture him. Was it not someone close to him that they used to poison him?
Could you believe that Nana Olumu of the Shakiri land, one of the powerful African kings, he was captured through the support of his local opposition. At that time, he had a local opposition because the British tried so many times to capture him. You know, they didn't succeed until this guy, who was a local opposition to Nana in the region, helped give them the intelligence and the way to Ebohimi, where Nana was captured by the British officials. So when you look at what happened at that time, today we are complaining about what the white people did to us, the Europeans. But we have to blame African people. I will tell you, 80% of the blame should be put upon the African people because they make themselves vulnerable to the white men at that time. They use them to conquer their own continents. They use them.
That's what I mean. Because if our people did not betray our people, they would not have succeeded. So before we start pointing accusing fingers on the people who came, if somebody comes to your house and knock at your door, if you don't open the door, the person is not coming in. Okay? Somebody, your king decided that he's not going to sign a treaty. You wait behind him and sign the treaty. What are you doing? Okay? So now, with this, you see, this is where and how this whole thing came into being, that the ancient palace was destroyed because of internal betrayals, right? People signing a treaty that their king refused to sign, and then having to, even when the war started, these were the same people who went about selling out our people the strategic positions of our warriors. Okay? Because our warriors engaged them in this guerrilla warfare. The British could not have succeeded
without
not for the fact that these same people who betrayed their king and their people went about telling the British where our warriors were strategically positioned.
Yes, we have it in the history of Benin. You know, when you look at the history of Africa, the colonization of territories in Africa by the Europeans, you see that, African people should be blamed for what happened, because majority of the armies that were recruited to fight and conquer territories in Africa were employed there or recruited in Africa. These are black people that the British used at that time. So what are we talking about here? Are we complaining that the Europeans came to colonize our territories? Who gave them the intelligence? Who gave them the manpower to conquer our territories? Is it not our brothers and our sisters in Africa at that time? So yeah.
Exactly. They are the ones that sold their own people out. So point now is coming back to the topic is, this balance is going to be rebuilt. We have started the process of rebuilding it. One, because it is a monument for both Onicha-Olona people, to Anioma people, to Delta States, to Edo, to Nigeria, and Africa as a whole. because this is the palace where the decision that led to the 31-year resistance against the British was made. So if we don't rebuild it, that history is going to be lost forever.
Yes, exactly. And one other thing, are you also planning to commission the statue of the king that resisted the treaty? You know, the treaty
Yes,
that.
all of them are in work.
Okay.
Both Oba Oboko, Oba Ugbe,
Mm.
Oba Urugwa, okay, all of them are not basically their statues. I plan to have their statues installed.
So like that, yeah, the history would be preserved.
Why? Because the settlement, why? Because the settlement of Onicha-Olona started during the time of Iwari, right? And was culminated during the time of Obesige, who made his son Orugwa the Enoge. And then, so those historical figures need to be reflected in Angola. And I have the plan that the monuments of these people will be built there, ranging from Oba Esige up to Oba Oboko.
Fantastic. So somebody left a comment for you here. Somebody said that the confidence of this man is amazing. It shows he has been doing research in decades. So for decades. So he knows the history, you know. He knows the history. And when he's speaking, he speaks with his knowledge, you know, and the history that was passed down from his father, you know, from generation to generation. I would say, you know, he knows the history. It's not just here procrastinating like some people. So he knows what he's talking about. I don't know why this thing is okay.
There will be no need. Yeah, there will be no need to open my mouth if I have nothing to say. And actually, it's not even every time that I talk unless I have there is need and it is necessary for me to talk.
Yeah.
Okay. Because all this history, most of our people don't even know it. They don't have it. All right. And if we don't tell them, people will not understand or know. Like I just asked before, now we are in a place called Anioma right now. People call it Anioma. What was the name of the Anioma? If you ask them where is Anioma, who are the people of Anioma, they will tell you Anioma is an ancient and industrious nation. What was the name of the ancient nation before it was named Anioma?
So, how many years are we looking at for you to reconstruct this historical site in Onicha-Olona?
Well, nobody knows, but with God's help, it is my hope that hopefully before the end of next year, going into 2025, I hope that the structure will be up.
Are you also doing fundraising? You know, fundraising to establish.
It is welcome. I have not started, but it is welcome. Fundraising with their suggestions and anybody that wants to contribute is welcome. I hope that it will be but I am hoping that yes, people who are many people are called and invited and welcome to make contribution to it, to the building of the palace. And like I mentioned before, people should not look at this as a palace for a king in Onicha-Olona.
It's going to be
they need to look at this as a piece of history that concerns Africa, not just Nigeria.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay? It's not a question of a palace that's going to be in Onicha-Olona. It's a piece of monument that holds the history of what happened in Africa when the British came and the invasion and the resistance they got. A decision that led to a 31-year struggle or fight or war, I don't think that is a minor decision that people can just throw away.
Somebody, I think I will share one comment to you. One of the elders Igbo elders here in Toronto left a comment for me. Was it not last week? Last week when I shared that your video that you produced in Nigeria. So he was also talking about this Kumeku war that the Igbos at that time helped to fight the British for 31 years. I have the comment. I will share it with you and see what
yes,
this.
he's right. He's right in that. He's right in that. Okay, because so once that decision was made, and Open Book, like I mentioned before, sent out circular to all the towns and villages in the present day Anyama, which was the defunct Onochi kingdom or the defunct Ikonoto kingdom. Once the circular was sent out, right, the war, all the young men and able-bodied men who are capable of fighting war came out in mass and started fighting the war. It's also extended across the Niger to the other side of the war. So both the people that spearheaded their led the war were people in the current day Anyama. And if you check the record, the British record of all the leaders of the war, you'll find that the majority of the leaders are mostly like Onicha-Olona people. Yeah, if you can, for instance, after this Google Ekumeku war in Wikipedia, I believe you will find it there because I realize that it's also there. Okay, people like Dunku Isusu and his brother Maya Isusu were involved. Oche Maya is of Onicha-Olona, Ekwabadia of Onicha-Olona. And so many of them, just to mention a few. But yes, when the war got to its peak, it extended to the Igbo land, the other side of the river, Niger, and they joined because also the Onisha military, that's the current day Onisha, was equally invaded, and the rest and some other places in the eastern Igbo land, not only the western Igbo land. So if you look at Anyama today, Anyama, as people see it, is a conglomerate of 4 major ethnic groups. Okay? Those that have higher population in Anyama are the eastern Igbo migrants who settled in the location. But also followed in population are the Edos. And among them, you also have the Onukumis, the Yorubas, and you also have the Galas. Okay, in Anyama. So Anyama is just kind of a conglomerate of 3 or 4 major ethnic groups, if we may put it that way. But according to history, the first set of people to be there are the Eastern Igbos who migrated across the Niger to stay there.
So the Edo people, the Benin people met the Igbos there, right? Because it was an existing territory before Oba Rogba sent the brother there. People were already there.
Yes, correct. And majority of those people that were there, according to history, are from Mumri. Okay? The second group of people that migrated to that place, according to history, are the Yoruba. Okay? So, after the migration of the Olukumi to join the place, by the way, the Olukumi people migrated to current Anyama location during the last Okiso's reign. And what led to their migration was due to the exile of or apparent quote and unquote killing of the prince, the Kamadera. Okay, so this Yoruba group that we are living in the Godomigodo as at then, as the history holds it, consider that if the Okiso can order the execution of his own son, who can tell that they themselves cannot be executed one day? Okay. On that note, according to the history, the Yoruba people or the Olukule people who were living within the Benin territory after then moved eastward and settled in the current place we still call Anioma now. So that was the second wave of people that migrated to the location, apart from the people from who were already living there. Okay. Then, according to our history, during the fight between Oba Uwakode and his brother, Idu, another wave of Benin people moved there. Okay? So that wave of people who moved there during the reign of Oba Uwakode, if you go to our area now, they are among the people they call the Ogbowele people. Okay? And that Ogbowele is a translation from Ogbe Igele. What is Igele in Edo language?
Igele.
Yeah?
Igele. Egele. Miss.
I cannot pronounce it the way Edo people pronounce it now. Egele, yes. What is Egele?
It's like a middle-aged man.
Youth or young men.
Or young man.
Yeah. So, as it is said, our history has it that during that fight between Oba Uwakode and his brother Idu, some of the young men moved away from Benin and moved eastward. They settled with the people that will call Obole in Onicha-Olona now. Okay? They were the first group to move away from the Benin Kingdom to settle there. So they formed in Onicha-Olona, anywhere you find the Ogbowele or Ogbowele, they are those early Benin migrants. Okay? The people that they met there are the Eastern Igbos that were already living there, among the people we call the Ogbolis. Okay, like now you have Ogbolis in Iseluku, you have Ogbolis in I think Ibuzo. Okay, you have Ogbolis in Onisha, and some other places that you may have there. Among those people also, you have the Apuku people in Anioma, and you have the Akuma people, and some others. Okay, these are notable towns and villages that were already there before our Benin people migrated during the reign of Oba Uwakode. Okay, along the line, some other subsequent migration from Benin led to that place. Also notable is the migration of our own people during the war against Ezechima.
So I have one question, regarding the invasion of the palace by the British. So after that, the king at that time, what was the name of the king at that time? The king that resisted the British. The name, I forgot the name. Oba Okpoko. After the demise of Oba Okpoko, so the British crowned someone else as the king, right?
They installed a warrant chief. Yes, they installed a warrant chief.
As
that went with the title of Obi.
Okay, at the particular. Okay, how did the monarch or the monarchy? How did the monarchy straighten that lineage of the king of Benin, Oba of Benin? You said you are from the lineage of the Oba of Benin. The same thing happened in Benin, that after they deposed Oba Ovorame, a regent was installed as the administrative leader of the Benin Kingdom. So he ruled the Benin for a very long time before Oba Ovorame joined his ancestors. So the same thing happened. So after that person that was installed by the British, what happened? How did the monarchy survive and straighten that lineage? I hope you understand.
That's a very important question. Thank you for that. So, I can mention before that Obo Boko is the last legitimate king Onicha-Olona have had in the past. After his demise, 1900, the British installed their stooge as the warrant chief who went with you title. Okay? He died the same year he was installed.
Oh.
Yep. You know why? You know why?
What happened?
My ancestor who would have succeeded his father, the throne, right? He fought to take over from his father, and the British pushed him away and installed this man. And when after installing their stooge, they compelled him to go and recognize the stooge as a king. He refused. Then they used force to drag him to the so-called palace. Okay? And when he got there, he stood. They asked him to greet him and recognize him. He asked the man sitting on the throne what he wanted him to greet. Then he asked him to greet him Ugbe. So he responded and greeted him Ugbe. As soon as he responded back, so in acceptance of the greetings, that my ancestor placed a curse on him. Okay? So according to the history, while they were there in his court, in this new Ogi's court, he kind of got off from his throne, probably to go inside and get something or whatever the case may be. They waited for him to come out. He never came out again.
He died.
Yeah, that was the end.
So after he died, which means the crown prince regained the throne, right?
No, both of them traded cause against each other. The crown prince refused to ascend the throne because he doesn't want to die on the throne. Now, what he did now is this. He placed a curse because even at that, the fact that he would have succeeded, the British still did not want him to succeed. And even when our people were encouraging him to take his stand, he said no, he does not need it anymore. Until those who were involved in conniving against our family, until they come to their senses, or until their descendants come to their senses and return the throne back to my family, there will never be a king that will rule. Anyone that has ascended the throne will either die a mysterious death or go mad. Do you know what?
So what happened?
Till today, nobody has ascended that throne without dying a mysterious death.
I don't understand. So that throne was abandoned.
No, it was not abandoned. To start with, the British has already taken the kingships too. It is in Britain, as we are talking. We are made to understand that it's in museum. I have not gone to the British Museum to confirm, but I was made to understand that it's a museum in Britain.
The stew of what? The original stew, the ancient stew of.
Yeah, the ancient stew they took from our palace.
So they took it to London with them, to Britain.
That's what better understand. Again, I have not gone to see it with my eye.
So I mean, you said that the person that was installed by the British died mysteriously, So after that, the crown prince refused to ascend the throne, right?
Yeah.
So after the crown prince, what happened to the throne?
Okay, after the crown prince refused to ascend, because he himself died in 1902, anyways. Then when he died, one of his cousins now stepped in order to make sure that the throne is not left empty. But when he entered under the condition that he is a bloodline of Ugbe, the first king.
Yeah.
So now, that was among all those that claimed to have been Obi or king in Onicha-Olona, he was the only one that was able to live up to 15 years on the throne.
Okay.
Ever after. And then after he passed, he was installed in 1902 and died in 1917. Okay? That was Ugbe. After he passed, during this saga, this kingship saga, some elites in the land, okay, decided to act as the caretaker committee, so to say. Without knowing that one of the chiefs was deceitfully trying to find a way to take the power into the hands of those elites. So, what happened next was, as soon as 1914, this man, before 1914, this man was already agitating for the elites, kind of a high-ranking chief, to start ruling, of which he had a lot of pushback on that, but also had some supporters. Unfortunately for him, 1914, the amalgamation happened. One of the chiefs who was in prison for supporting my ancestor to be installed because he's the rightful person was in prison. Right? But 1914, he came back from Calabar. Okay? Now, when he came back from Calabar, he met this conversation going on as to the Mpalons. That's this group, this elite group, they call the Mpalo group. He made them having the conversation of them being the one to be ruling. And he was shocked that the reason he was sent to Calabar, in prison in Calabar, was because he was standing for
to defend the throne. Yes, to defend and straighten that lineage.
Yes. And now he's coming back to hear that this is happening. Yes. Okay? So he told them it cannot happen. But they told him that is the decision that I've already made before I came back. Because they told them, if you want to go by that route, I'm continue among you. Because as at that time, when he was sent to prison, he was the Onicha in Benin,
Oliha, yeah.
Okay?
That is the king crowner.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the king crowner.
Okay. So one of the reasons he was sent to, because he refused to crown the stooge, the British stooge. Yes. He refused to crown the stooge and insisted that he's only going to crown somebody from my family.
Yes, because that is why he's there, you know.
Yeah. And then they had to, yeah. So after killing the king, they sent him on Isaac.
Because his primary job as the Oliha or the king crowner is to ensure that he maintains that lineage. You understand? So the British when the
that was his duty, and that was what he intended to do, and they imprisoned him for that.
Yeah. So what happened after that? You know.
So now with that conversation, since he realized that okay, these people have already formed a forum against any opposition, he now told them, well, if you want to go to this route, I am the senior, it means I'm going to be the one. His foolishness was that because then they said that, okay, yes, we admit that you are the person that was instigating for the high-ranking chiefs to be the one, the elites, to be the one to be ruling now. The person that was doing that because he thought he was the most senior, knowing that this man was in prison. So with this one coming back, he realized that he can't do anything about it. And then they allowed this man, the Oliha, now was installed as a new. He was installed in 1919.
But the Olia himself, is he from the royal family lineage?
No, he's not. No, he is not. Look, watch out for the next. Watch out for the next.
Okay.
So it was installed in 1919. Within 1 year of being installed, he died. Mysteriously. Okay. They didn't learn their lesson. The curse that was placed on the throne, they didn't pay attention to it.
Yes.
Okay, he died. And then the man who instigated for the elites, the pile of people, to start ruling, now accepting that he's now the best in life. Unbeknownst to him, that there was another man who was initiated to that chieftaincy society before him. Okay? As he started his agitation, well, the other man woke up and said, well, if you guys want to follow this route, I'm the most junior now. He started debating that no, that he was, so that it brought the kind of struggle between the two of them, and the British came into it. The British official that was in charge eventually found out that the other man who was silent, named Maud, his name was Maud, was actually the most senior. So on August 23, 1923, the British ruled in favor of Maud. Okay? Maud became the new Ugbe. Before he became the Ugbe, he was in good health. Nothing was wrong with him. In order not to say something that is going to insult and offend his descendants, I can just leave it. He died mysteriously. I don't want to tell you the details of his death.
No, it's okay. Some of them committed suicide at that time. It's okay. Yeah. Let's move forward.
Okay. So now after he died, before he died, the man he contested with, who was actually the architect of this nonsense, do you know what happened to him?
What happened?
Okay. While his opponent was still in the throne, he himself was killed by thunder while he was in his farm.
A snake.
A thunder.
Thunder. Thunder lightning. Okay.
Yeah, struck him dead. Struck him dead. So he did not even live to even succeed his opponent. He was the one that instigated this nonsense. After all his struggle and all his instigation, everything, he never even had his seat on that same thing that he was fighting for.
You see? And they won't leave. You know, people fight for leadership. I don't know why. For power, you know.
Okay? So now after him, his successor, after the one that he himself passed while Maud was on the throne, after Maud passed, the successor took on. The successor was well in good spirits, in good shape. Nothing was wrong with him. Okay?
Yeah. So what happened?
As soon as he told them that he became the new king, or the Ugbe, the same thing that used to happen to others started happening. Again, I don't want the descendants or children to be offended. I will leave it at that. He died mysteriously. Even to the point that one of those whose mother is from my family, who knew exactly what has happened, he made a very critical mistake by trying to ascend the throne under this same platform of paparazzi.
And yeah, because it's greediness. People you crave for power. Is that yes.
So disregarding the fact that the process they were following was not the traditional process, and it was not our custom, and that was not the process our ancestors used. He accepted the throne under this condition. Do you know how he died?
Knowing fully well that it's an abomination to the throne that, Oba, which means, it is only the crown prince that can become an Oba. Oba.
So now, you know how he died?
What happened to him again?
A lesson for our people to learn. They never learn lessons. He didn't die like the rest of them, the others. Some of them went mad, some of them died mysteriously by one more or the other. This one, the damn gun that was shot while they were doing his annual festival, lifted up from the street and went to his house and killed him.
Huh?
Yep. As I'm telling you, the man in question was my father's godfather. My own father was in that house when it happened. Other people were in the house when it happened. How is it that the damn gun that was shot in commemoration, in observance of the king's ceremony, annual festival, lifted up from the street and went to his house and killed him?
Yeah, there's a mystery behind it. So,
okay, a very big lesson. My dad would say, yes, it was a lesson for every one of us to learn. My dad would always say.
So, how did your dad came into this picture?
Okay, my dad came into the picture because my dad is the direct descendant of Ugbe.
So, from which family? From the crown prince that died after the British invaded?
Yeah, from the crown prince that was denied the throne.
Your father? Oh, your father is a son of the crown prince.
Yes, grandson.
Grandson. Oh, grandson of the. Okay.
Okay. This man that I said that he then got killed was his godfather. His mother is from my family.
Okay. He's a son of a woman in the family.
The mistake he made was accepting, even though he actually, according to history and according to my dad's account, he never supported that system. Right? But since he was the next in line in the rank of those chiefs, so it is now his turn. How we wish that he would have just instructed the movement, my family, to just be installed.
It's greediness. People are craving for power. They don't care wherever it will take them. They just want to be in power.
There you go. Yeah. Then after he died as well, his successor took over. He went mad. Okay. That one went mad and died as well. So the successor to that one also took over before the one that went mad again. Before he died, the person that was going to succeed him was actually making mockery of him, calling him a mad king. So he also told the man that he is next in line, that when he ascends, he will become mad too. Lo and behold, when the so-called king passed, his successor ascended and became mad.
So many people ascended the throne before your dad. Just look at it from the early 20th century. From the early 20th.
My dad only served my people as a crown prince without being allowed to be installed as a king.
Because they were afraid.
No, that he was afraid. The useless resistance and the stupid thieves will not allow our people to take what belongs to us.
So how did your
So
father?
what my dad now did was to take them to court.
Okay.
Okay. Well, as it is now, we are now moving towards restoring what belongs to my father.
So do you mean that throughout the reign of your father, he was just a crown prince? He was
Acted as a crown prince. Yeah, he only acted as a crown prince.
he was not installed as the king. Never.
No, he was not. No.
Because of the British displacement. The displacement that was caused by the British is what led to the death of so many people that ascended the throne. Just look at the history now, right from that British invasion of the region to today. You know, there has never been any legitimate king.
And that is why we say that till now, Onicha-Olona is still having an interrogator. Even if some people are said and claim that they are the keys of Olona, to start with Olona doesn't, the title of the king of that comes from Olona was never Obi. It was Oba.
Oh my goodness. So which means it's still the period of interregnum, because in a history interregnum, yeah. Because they haven't had any legitimate king since the British invaded.
And I have to tell you this: nobody ascends the throne in Onicha-Olona without going through it.
So if you are installed today as the king, which means it's going to be your reign that will restore the ancient kingdom of Onosha-Olona. Or the ancients too. I would say the ancients too of Onosha-Olona, right?
Yes, by the grace of God, yes.
You have a lot to do. You have a lot. You have a lot to do. You know.
I know, by the grace of God, yes, I know.
You know that.
But God is my strength.
You have a lot to do, and this is it's going to be really, I don't know how to explain it, you know, with what happened in the past, people that lost their lives in the process of gaining power, you know, and what happened to your dad, that your dad didn't serve as the king, he was crown prince all his life. So I think there are lots that needs to be done and adjusted, you know, starting from the reconstruction of the. Huh?
We know that really well. Since I stepped into my father's shoes now, I've been doing a lot to see that everything is done right. I do not want us to circumvent any legal process because everything has to be done properly and legally. I know there are people who actually want us to kind of do any coronation, and I keep telling them each time I was I called and told, why not do this? I told them, no, we're not going to do that. We have to restore the whole thing properly, normally. There is not going to be a shortcut.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. If you ask me to advise you right now, I would say the coronation should not be a priority now at all. So the first thing is to ensure that reparation is needed. Reparation will start from the tradition, recognition, the reconstruction of the historical palace, and all that. That will take you a couple of years to put together. Then look at the tradition. The tradition is very important because of what happened in the past with those that ascended the throne, you know, that there is a curse placed on the throne. All those things should be reversed, and all the tradition, you know, anything.
The process of the reversal of the curse, my dad told me, and we are going to follow the whole process.
Exactly. So if there's any taboo, that was
Yeah,
done. If there's any
yeah.
taboo that was done to the throne, all those things should be properly reversed before
Reversed. Yeah.
coronation. Yes, that's why you have a lot to do.
Yeah, I know. I know. But as people will say, even my dad said it the same day, the very day he placed me where I am now. He said that the fire that is placed in the child's heart will never burn him.
I think people during that process that people were dying, there was a kind of, I think they committed a taboo. You know, they
They did
co-
commit a lot of them.
yeah, they committed a
A lot
taboo
of
against. Yeah. So
yeah,
yeah,
a lot of them.
I think today history was really deep. Oh my goodness. Guys, are you watching? People are watching. I saw some people left comments here. Let's read the comments. Oh my goodness. That was really nice.
Yeah, so summary of it, I know. Summary of it, yes, you can see the reason I want to reconstruct the Asian Palace is it's not a selfish endeavor. It's a matter of restoring and preserving our history. Okay, and that is why I think, in my own opinion, it is not just my project. I believe this is a project for all Anyama people. It's a project for all Delta State people. It's a project for Edo people. It's a project for Nigeria. It's a project for Africa. Okay, because when you look back, like I said, this is the palace where the division that held the British for 31 years in war was made. Okay, this is a palace that was established that was built in 1505 and then built in 1550. So first built in 1505 when Oba Urugwa was the Enoki, and then expanded in 1550 when Oba Ugbe was installed, destroyed in 1901 by the British. Okay? Reconstructing this holds a lot of history for us and serves as a monument and a treasure to Anioma, a treasure to Delta State, a treasure to Edo State, a treasure to Nigeria, and a treasure to Africa.
The world as a whole. It's going to
And a
serve,
treasure.
yes, it's going to serve as a tourist center that people are going to study the history of the Europeans and Africans. So I would say it's going to be beneficial to the world at large. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it, my brother, my sister. I hope that I gave you enough that you needed for the day. I don't know if I have.
It's really interesting. It's so interesting. I never knew there is such a rich history of Benin connecting with the people of Delta like this. First time, it's very interesting, and we wish you the best in this process of trying to restore the ancient palace of the Onisha-Olona. Obanisi Oba Ugbe. So it's going to take you a lot of time and work. You have to be really cognizant. You have to be attentive and be careful as well. When you are doing all these things, I would advise you to also consult with the elders and the Benin Kingdom as well. Whenever you are trying to carry out this reconstruction and anything that has to do with the tradition, I think you should also seek the advice of the elders.
Yes, of course, of course. That's one of the things I've been doing because that's one of the instructions laid down by my dad. Like I mentioned during our first conversation, my dad made it clear to me anytime I'm confused about anything to do, I should go to Benin. I should go to a royal home in Benin and ask for questions that tell them from the guidance on how to do it.
Yeah.
And that's what I hope to be doing. I've been doing it, and that's what I want to be doing.
Yes, you have to also work. You need the guidance of the elders in Benin and the sacrilege that was committed to the throne. From the history that you just narrated, it shows that they committed a very awful sacrilege against the throne, and all those things should be properly taken care of.
Go into the sacrilege they committed. They did commit a lot.
Yeah.
They committed a lot against my family. But this is not the time to reflect on the harm done. But it's time for me to work towards what was taken.
Yes.
And the way forward is what I'm looking for.
You see how interesting it is that during that leadership tussle between those people who were fighting for power, none of them reconstruct this ancient palace. You see, for how many years, how many decades, none of them cares about even reconstructing the palace, the original palace. They were only fighting to gain the throne.
They don't care. They don't care because it doesn't matter to them.
Yeah, what they want was just only the power. They don't care about the history attached. Yeah. So,
The welfare and betterment and advancement of the kingdom is not their key goal. Just answering the name and whatever they can gain out of it is what they're after. And how it affects the indigenes is not important to them.
Yeah, because they ascended the throne illegally, so they don't care about the history attached to the throne. So you are concerned about the history now because you know that you are a legitimate bloodline of the throne. But for them, it was the opposite because it's just to get a title and gain power. They were just fighting. The leadership tussle was just to gain that title alone, not because they have any bloodline with the original throne or the legitimate bloodline of the Ugbe or Oba Adesika. So that is it.
Imagine a kingdom. Imagine a kingdom that traces its route to Benin, and they are passing the throne like people playing football in the field, soccer in the field.
Yes.
You play another. But we say that we claim and we know that we are from Benin. Is that what we practice in Benin, where we come from? Can a lion give birth to a goat?
How is
it that where we come from, our people are doing differently, and where we are, because of greed and selfishness and self-centeredness, we find ourselves in a situation that is not helpful to our people.
It's the British. The British, what they did to Africans, what they did to us.
Yeah, that is true. The British, we can blame them, but we have our own share of blame to make. My dad used to say, you cannot blame a man whose house was invaded, ransacked, and disordered by a thief. But a lot of blame is on a man who left his house disordered long after the thief has left.
It's true, though. It's true. But it was the invasion.
What have we done long after they have left?
No, beside that, we also have to blame the British because those usurpers that usurped the throne at that time, if not for the invasion of the British, it would have not happened. So we have to also blame the British. I know that our people made themselves vulnerable to the British at that time, to the Europeans in general. However,
for you to understand, just for you to understand very well, what I'm saying is that the blame goes around. The blame of invading another person's land, ransacking it, and taking things, looting it, and taking things that does not belong to you, rests squarely on the British. The blame of leaving the house ransacked, unorganized, and unreconstructed unresolved reigns squarely on our people.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that, but the British, it was the foundation that they laid. They dismantled a kingdom, a very standard kingdom. They dismantled the kingdom. Yes.
A lot of time to us. We have to admit that. It took a lot of time to us.
It was the.
Without them, we would not be where we are now. But by God's grace, I'm hoping that we, as a people, will come together and start putting our house in order.
Yeah. So it was the invasion that paved the way for these usurpers that we are fighting for the throne that does not belong to them. So it's the British people.
I'm hoping that after the reconstruction of the palace, I'm glad that they have started repatriating some of the things they took in Benin. I'm hoping that also down the road, the ones they took, if we can identify them, we can still restore them. I hope that they track them properly where they took them from, so we can get them and get them back. I'm hoping that after reconstruction, God helping us, we will make a request for them to return what they took from our palace as well.
You know that the ones they took from Benin was very obvious, and right from when they stole those artifacts, the Benin Kingdom continued to maintain relationship with those artifacts. So for the one of Onicha-Olona right now, can the people of Onicha-Olona recognize the artifacts that were looted from the palace at that time? Probably no. So yeah, that would be very difficult.
That's why I said. That's why I just said. That's why I said what I said before. That I hope they tagged those things they took from our servers properly, because that's the only way we can
recognize them. Exactly. Oh, brother, thank you so much. This is so good. I learned a lot today. I learned a lot. So I think the history of the usurpers is so interesting. Oh my goodness. Can't even believe how people can be so crazy.
Who can be the moment they say that they become Obi or whatever they call themselves, they lose their place in life.
It is forbidden. That's why I told you that it was a sacrilege that was done to the throne, and I think it's the same thing that led to the sudden death or mysterious death of those usurpers. So all those things should be properly taken care of.
Because it's not, it doesn't belong to them, they're not intentionally, they are not supposed to captain the throne. And that is why each time they go in the name that they become king, well, the cause that was placed on the throne follows them. That has always been their case. Even it has been their case. That is how they end. First of all, by the way, they will no longer be themselves. They will be their normal sense. And then some of them go mad. Then eventually they die miserably.
Yes, thank you, and I learned a lot today. We look forward to bring you back to this program, especially the reconstruction of the palace, the ancient palace in Onicha-Olona. So we would like to see the development in future. When you start the reconstruction, please let us know. When you went to Nigeria the other time, the videos and everything, the content that you produced, it was really interesting and insightful. Many people were watching and they left a lot of comments. So it's very good whenever you visit and when you start the reconstruction. Publicity, we should give more publicity to that historical site, so that it will also attract.
At the moment they are preparing the ground. Like you asked before, if I'm going to do fundraising, I'm starting with my own finance, what I have. But people, all well-meaning individuals, are welcome to book contribution if they think it's a worthwhile project. I believe it's a worthwhile project, and I call and invite everybody that thinks it's worthwhile to make contribution where they can. But I intend to make sure that this palace structure stands.
I think you should involve the state government.
Yeah, I will do my best. I will do my best to reach out, and I hope that even with this video, I hope that they will also know that there is something happening. Thank you actually for bringing it up, and we're talking about it. I'm talking about the funding. Anyone, like I said, anyone that wants to make contribution to see that this structure come to reality is welcome. One way or the other, by God's grace, I will make sure that this structure stands.
Wonderful. Thank you.
If it is the only thing I can do for my people before I grant my ancestors, so be it.
You will do more than that. You will do more than that because you are very passionate about this, the history and the throne. You are very, very passionate. The way you narrate the history alone shows that you know what you're doing, and I think you're going to make big history in your time. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have a wonderful week.
Same to you. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Yeah, bye for now. Hello, viewers. Thank you all for watching, and we'll come back next time. We'll definitely be doing follow up with the reconstruction of this ancient palace of Onisha-Olona. You know, according to the prince, the crown prince, that the British destroyed the ancient palace during the early 20th century. So he is trying to reconstruct the palace now. After how many years of leadership, also people trying to usurp the throne, they usurp the throne. So he is trying to, reconstruct the palace, the ancient palace right now. It is time for reparation, reparation time for everything that the British did to us in Africa. People are trying to repair, but not everything can be repaired because the destruction, the method against our people, our territories in Africa, it's unexplainable. We cannot explain it. There are lots, So the British and the Europeans that, that destroyed our kingdoms, our territories, shall never be well with them until they return all our properties and also compensate us for what they did to us, the destruction that they did to our kingdoms, to our people, our history. They took our history away from us. They took our culture away from us. So all those things, compensation is what we are demanding for. Even restitution first before compensation. All those things. So that's all for today. Thank you all for watching. And next time we'll come back and continue with this history and we'll continue to do follow up with the reconstruction of this ancient palace. Thank you all. Bye for now.